This is the MACD, the old one, the one of all life, surely one of the most used indicators in the world, and all that is thanks to its simplicity and at the same time to all the information it provides us. But what if I tell you that they have created a new MACD, without any lag, and that provides us all that information in a much faster and more accurate way? Welcome one more day to the trader's game. And before we start, remember that in the description you have the links to join us in our Telegram community, where every day we post charts and analysis of what is happening in the financial markets. And also the trading bonus page, which has been updated and have added new promotions and free bonuses for all those who are starting in the world of trading. Do not forget to leave your email if you want to receive a weekly newsletter with everything that has happened during those days. As you know, the traditional MACD serves to help us detect those trend changes, and also if we go a little further to know the state and levels of overbought and oversold that has the asset. In this case, we are on the daily chart of Bitcoin, and we can mark several quite clear crosses, where the MACD of all life helps us to see those levels, those areas of trend change and overbought or oversold of our asset. In this first zone, we see that the MACD is far away from the zero zone. The price of Bitcoin has been falling, and there is a fairly wide cumulative range. However, we already have that information that exactly at this point the price could change its trend, and indeed it did. A little further on, the exact opposite would happen. In fact, the MACD gives us two breaks, also forming a divergence with the price quite large, even coming to mark a third cut. At this point we would have positioned ourselves short, both here and here, and also on that top when we saw this last break. And indeed the price continued to fall, and we would have taken profits. The same thing would happen up here, where it also gives us that information of a large divergence, and also being above 4,000 points also indicates that we are in a large overbought area, and again we would have entered in those two areas and taken a lot of profits. But of course, as the years go by, new tools and updates emerge that improve the old indicators. In this case, we will talk about the MACD with Zerolag. We write this in the part of indicators, and we choose this one here, from Albert Callisto. We click and we will see something similar. The first thing we are going to do is to remove this EMA, that is to say the red line that appears, since we will not need it for anything, and we will adapt a little the colors to resemble the original MACD. The MACD line would correspond to the blue line, and the signal would be the orange one. Another very interesting thing that offers us this MACD paralag is that it also marks the areas of positive delta, which we will also configure to our liking, and those of negative delta. It would look something like this, and it adds those dots, those points, which is as if they were signals where the crossovers occur. We will place the bullish, for example, in green and the bearish in red. We also have a few filler options that we will not need. In this case I am going to remove it. And in data entries we leave it exactly the same. We give it to accept, and this is how our new MACD would be updated, and with zero lag. Making this comparison of both, what we already detect is that the new MACD is as if it were in a higher gear. We see that these trend change crosses occur before the old one, and that in many cases can help us to improve and better nail our operation. As you can see, the old one marked this entry. However, the new one would mark it even with a green dot at this point, as you can see a little before the entry that the old one had marked. If we continue a little further ahead, and knowing that we should only take into account those crosses and signals that are quite far from the center zone, we can see how in the case where the old one does not mark any kind of signal in this area and remains below the zone 0, the new one has already been placed above, and being already quite far from the zero zone, it marks another signal, in this case of sale. And as you can see, we could take all that profit that its predecessor had not marked us. The same would happen a little further on, whereas you can see we would again have another selling opportunity, although in this case it would be minimal, because as it is a daily time frame, using our basic analysis and taking into account the formation of this range, our long entry would practically come from this area, so we would take advantage of the entire upward movement. In the next mark of the old MACD, this one here, we can see how it effectively marks it, but in the newer MACD we would already be in that center zone. We see that there is not a very clear directionality, and indeed the price continues to rise, Here it falls a little, but the operation, despite going positive, does not end up being so clear, exactly what the MACD of Zerolag showed us. A little further on, in this area, we can see how it has indeed marked a dot here, but of course we are still quite close to that zero zone. However, it marks another dot a little further on, creating a divergence between the indicator and the price, as it seems that this force is rising and the price continues to fall. And keep in mind that we are in daily time frame, so we would have a perfect entry point. At this point we would put that stop loss by the previous lows, and we would let our long-term operation run. As you can see, even if we wait to collect at the next red point of negative cross, it would be more or less in this area, where we would already take almost 30% profit, and if we had let it run, you can see that we could reach that 60%. The idea here is to combine both indicators, take advantage of the new MACD, which gives us earlier entry points, with the MACD of all life that gives us later crosses, and thus there will be many situations in which we can take complete zones of accumulation of positions in short, that is to say not only an entry, but to be positioned in the whole area waiting for that fall. It is also much more comfortable for scalping or day trading style operations. As you can see, it gives us much more anticipated entries that we can take advantage of more often. You can even test it in 1 minute time frame, where it will constantly mark divergences in the price that we can take advantage of. So I recommend you to try it, add it to your normal day trading, and above all learn to combine it with the old MACD to get to perfect your trades to the maximum. And so far today's video. If you liked our work, leave us a nice like. It's completely free and it helps us to continue creating content. Do not forget to go through the links in the description to our free Telegram community and the trading bonus page, where you will have all the offers and promotions in the most important brokers and exchanges in the world. See you in the next video of the Trader's Game.